a reminder of no more, nevermore. A reminder that what some may perceive as the bird of death is actually the bird of life, the bird that soars. Take a good deep breath. There's times I really wished I was there with you on this planet, but then I wouldn't be able to be doing what I'm doing now. But there are times, and I know you kind of scoff when I say that, because you're thinking, yeah, right, come on down. You are living in such epic times right now. Just to be there, to experience this intensity, the changes that are occurring, the light that's coming in. You have to be able to be open to it, otherwise you're just going to see everyday human life. But, what's happening? What's truly happening on this planet is remarkable. You can do anything. You can do anything, and these aren't just glib words. You can do anything. Once you stop fearing yourself. You can do anything once you stop fearing yourself. It's only that fear of yourself that has ever held you back, really. You can blame it on other things. You can give me all sorts of excuses for not doing this, not doing that, but you can do anything. You can sail off into these other realms and still be human and still be a master on the planet and still encounter darkness and still have good days and bad days. You can do anything when you stop fearing yourself. And that's been the real fear, not death. The real fear has been yourself. What will I do? What will I do something stupid if I have this mighty raven as my Pakawa, my guide into the other realms? What am I going to do with it? Will I get lost? Will I destroy things? Will I fuck up again? Nevermore, nevermore. When you come to the point of no more fear of yourself, I'm not talking about the outer worlds or crime, some dark night while walking home, or somebody taking everything from you, or somebody putting a demonic spell on you. I'm talking about the fear of yourself. And that's the greatest fear of all, who you really are and what you can do. I guess you've given yourself some reasons to have fear because, particularly in past lifetimes, you've done some interesting things with power, with abuse, with darkness. So many of you along the way got into the dark arts. It was very interesting to watch. After the time of Yeshua, you came back for incarnations so often religious-oriented, creators, founders of the religions on the planet. Some of them had already been here, but many, many of them were new. And for the religions that had already been here, you helped to transform those. And it was interesting. So many of you then really took on the dark. A very, very interesting switch from your role as some of you early Christians, Gnostics, and then taking on witchcraft, becoming warlocks, going into the dark. Why? A psychologist might say, a New Age psychologist might say, well, you were drawn to it, you were weak. Or you felt shame for some of the things that were being done in the church, and you walked away. You walked away from the teachings because they had gotten so, rigid and suffering-oriented. So you walked away, and when you walked out of the door of the religions, you walked straight into the door of the darkness, into sorcery, witchcraft. You were fascinated with it, absolutely fascinated with what it could do, and absolutely fearful of it, because you see, in the darkness like that, as a witch or a warlock, in that darkness, there's always the overlord. Always the overlord. Not even like the supposed God from the religious orders. The overlord was much closer, much more aware, much more present. The God of the religions of humanity has always been distant, but the overlord of the darkness always right there, and you're fascinated by the darkness, by the power, all the time fearing the overlord, and all the time promising to be subservient to the overlord of darkness, promising to obey that. Oh, you learned witchcraft, indeed. You learned how to work energies. You came up with mantras or chants, or having to make secret potions. Those were all bullshit. That's Makyo. It was a way of distracting you. It was a way of thinking, making you think that you were doing something, and if you followed the rituals properly, the great powers would come to you. You didn't need all that, by the way, but it served a purpose. You could do those same incantations right now, and they're not going to work so well. But the point is that you didn't go into the darkness because you were running from the church or overly fascinated with power and darkness. Again, it was simply for the fact that it was there. And to truly understand the light as part of the bringing the Christ consciousness to this planet, in order to really understand it, you would have to experience the dark. You would have to create an overlord. You would have to dive into the dark arts. Not all of you did, but most of you did, in one way or the other. And on one hand, it was absolutely exhilarating. You felt so alive in the darkness, so alive in this place of sorcery, like never before. And it made you almost scoff at those who were on the other side, the side of light, the side of goodness. It almost made you scoff because you had never felt this alive before. But you were also in great fear the whole time, in terror of the overlord of darkness. What would that overlord do to you? What kind of magic did this overlord have? How much obedience did you have to give and pledge to the overlord to stay in favor? You dove in because it was there. And that eventually it would give you such insights and understandings into yourself. Understandings and insights into the true nature of Christ consciousness. You can't look at Christ consciousness just through the light. You had to go in and find out about it through the darkness. And that's what you bring now. That's what you bring here into this lifetime. You emerged from that darkness. Some of you went through what I call the red lion, the red lion effect, the sheer horror and terror, but you emerged out of that nightmare. And here you are now. I never worry about any of you resorting back to the times of witchcraft, because you learned one thing: it comes back on you. It's not karma, it's just energy. You're projecting energy, it then will serve you in that way. So I fear not of any of you ever abusing, well, you might call it power, but it's really just your own energy. You can do anything. You can travel to other realms. You can have new lifetimes in the past. In the past. Yes. You may say, well, this is my last lifetime on this planet. Yes, but you can literally create new lifetimes in the past. You can realize your own magnificence, your own light. You can do anything as long as you're no longer fearing yourself. The fear is truly about, well, what you would have called power. The fear is that you're going to make the same mistakes. The fear is that you're going to hurt others. That's a great big fear, hurting others. You don't want to do that. And the fear, and it has its origins in this time in the witchcraft. The fear is what you're going to discover about yourself. What if you discovered that it is just dark in there? The overlords told you that. They told you that the deeper you go within yourself, the more darkness you will find. And they encouraged that. They encouraged it. Abide by the darkness within. And so to this day, you still carry a fear of yourself, but we've gone beyond all that. We've gone beyond the games of the dark. But some of you, I hear right now saying, well, have we really? Try going back there. Just try going back there. Really. If you still think that you can get caught up in that, if you still think that you are filled with darkness, go in there. Just go in there. I'm serious. If you still think that you have that deep darkness within, just go there. I guess that's not advice you'd think would be coming from a grand ascended master. Oh, but I'm serious about it, because I know what you're going to find. I know already. So go there and see what happens. If you still think you carry the residue of the dark, that you can still be attracted or influenced into the dark and back to your times as witches and warlocks, with your chants, with your spells, try going there right now. I also say that because it's one of the things that you still fear about yourself. I still carry that darkness. You can do anything once you go beyond fearing yourself. I want to use this opportunity right here with Shambhala, with you, to say, within yourself there is nothing to fear. Maybe in a past lifetime, maybe that's what some of them are going through right now, and you're perceiving it in your current dream states. Maybe they're going into that, but there is nothing to fear. What's really in there? What's at the depths? It's your consciousness. It's your imagination. It's all of your dreams. It's all of your light that's in there. That's what's in there. Go in. Find out. Go in. Some of you are saying, no, I've been doing that for years. I've been going inside, exploring. No, you haven't. You've been skirting around your own fears of yourself. The fears that you're just a mortal being. And you die and that's it. Your fears that maybe you're a dark, sinister being and you've been a grand, powerful, dark being in the past. When you do some of the inner journeys, they're psychological. So often they're not deep journeys because you've been afraid to go in there. You've been afraid the same way in the poem The Raven, the same way the narrator was afraid of himself, afraid of his own darkness. He was afraid that the raven was an ominous symbol. And therefore he stayed in fears. He lived fears and he died in fear. Go in there. And you're going to discover things I can't even put into words here. You're going to discover your true goodness and your godness. You can do anything, and it's not just words. I'm not just saying that, but your fear of yourself has held you back. Not the fear of the outer world, not the fear of some dark overlord, but the fear of yourself. It's time to face that right now. It's time to face yourself. Take a good deep breath and hear the call of the raven. Nevermore. No more fearing of self. Why would I fear my own beingness, my own goodness? Why would I fear my own light and my own I am? Let's take a good deep breath into the anything. Once you go beyond the fear of you. Let's take a good deep breath and feeling into the raven. Its strength, its great wisdom. And said that the raven hears the prophecies, hears the whisper of the prophecies in itself, and it does. It means that it knows its own way. It's not afraid of its own way, not afraid of ever encountering itself. Nevermore, dear Shambra, nevermore. Nevermore doubt, holding back, suffering. You know the list. You know your nevermore list. Let's take a deep breath together and now open the wings of your raven and let yourself soar. It'll be interesting times ahead for the planet. But remember, you're not the one causing that chaos or that darkness. You're not the one. So, many of you still take on those attributes. Some of you remember when you were children, you thought the dysfunction in the family was because of you. If you were a good person, this wouldn't be happening. Well, so many of you were like that. You took on the whole burden. As this planet goes through its changes and revelations, realize that you're not the one causing them. You're the one here now, bringing the potentials of light. Never more to taking on and believing that you're the one causing the darkness and the bad out there. You're not. You're the one bringing in the light. You're the one holding the lantern for all to behold their own goodness. So with that, dear Shambhala, let's take a deep breath together. A very good deep breath. Never more.